This is the only other video that I'm gonna record. This is probably gonna come out before the next one. I mean, the last one that I recorded. Last one I recorded was about what does dead bone feel like. So if you're gonna wait for that, that'd be sick. But today I just realized I should talk about moonface. God damn it, because recently I had my sister talk to me about this new TikTok trend where they were talking about prednisone moonface, and I just wanted to share my experience about said thing because I had my own experience with that myself, which kind of landed me all the way to why I be making the content I'm making right now. So, if you don't know what prednisone is a steroid. It is a steroid that is used specifically in my case for lupus flare up. And it's usually used to combat a lot of sicknesses. So it's not like it's only specific to lupus. It's very much so a widespread used medicine for a lot of things. I've even had my partner use prednisone for a edema reaction because there was something that was happening within his body, and it wasn't a chronic illness or anything, but to say the least, he had to use prednisone to alleviate that sickness. And for my instance, I experienced prednisone in a very different way. Um, a lot of side effects of prednisone was not disclosed to me at the time of me being diagnosed and using prednisone, mainly because I believe, 16. I believe I was 16 at the time when I was diagnosed and put on prednisone because my flare up was extremely bad. Uh, Backstory on that: um, it was literally spring break. So I got sick right before spring break, and spring break usually is like 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, give or take. And I was sick for 2 whole weeks. And my family had gone on a trip during that time, so they were like assuming that I would be fine by the time that they got back. But when they got back, obviously I wasn't fine. I was dehydrated. I couldn't drink enough water. I wasn't even able to like get up and do stuff for real. Like um when I was staying with my grandma sometimes, she had to carry me to the bathroom and out the bathroom because I barely could stand. It was really horrible. It was to that point. Um and when I finally had got put into the hospital, they put me on prednisone. I was so sick that I wasn't even eating. So I was on like liquid food, like dead ass. I was on liquid food because it was so hard for me to like keep anything down. Not necessarily keep anything down. It was hard for me to eat. Like I couldn't fathom eating, and even at that point. Um, and after I was put in the hospital and was getting treated, I started feeling weird. I started feeling disconnected. Like like it felt like everything crashed down on me at once, and I never had experienced that feeling, really, not to that extent, because I have a very long history with depression and suicidal ideation. So I very much so had dealt with a lot of negative feelings in general, but the feeling was just different. It was just something was off. So it was what it was. I had successfully got through a flare up. I was still actively like something was wrong, but I didn't know it was wrong. I just went back home, and me being me, I'm a very productive person. So the moment I got home, I started cleaning. I was cleaning my room. I was cleaning dishes. I was cleaning the house because I had nothing to do other than clean. And so that's all I did. And then every single time I started, like, I kept cleaning, I ended up getting sick. And even in school, I was getting sick because, like, I couldn't not eat because I was still on prednisone. Also, keep in mind, when I got out, they kept me on prednisone, and there was no end. They didn't tell me, like, oh, just take it for another week or take it for another 2 weeks or nothing like that. So I was still on prednisone, going to school, and I was still, like, doing stuff on my own. I was a part of a career center project thing where I was, like, doing fire management, which is a very physical thing as well as mental. But I was doing that. I was getting sick. I was getting sick still, even after I was deemed not sick. So I was, like, getting burnt out in school, getting burnt out at home, and I had snapped again. Like, it's like that off feeling just all of a sudden got worse, and it snapped. I was cleaning one night, and I remember I was cleaning off my one of my side tables. It was like a little, like, not even like a side table. It was like a dresser, but it's like it was a 2 drawer dresser. So it was very small. I was literally cleaning it off, and then all of a sudden something snapped, and my brain, it just felt like my brain, like, was like, you can't do nothing. Can't do nothing else. Like, my body stopped being able to do things. My brain just stopped. I didn't know what to do. I felt horrible. Like, and it was all of a sudden too. There was no, like, up, bringing it up. It was just like my brain snapped, and so did my body. So I went to the hospital, and I wasn't physically hurt. Like, my body was somewhat okay, but there was something wrong. I I started getting very agitated, very mad, very upset. Um, I was sitting there like, bro, there's something wrong. I just don't know what it is, but something is wrong. And no one would listen to me because they were thinking, oh, you're just having a panic attack. Oh, you're just going through something mentally, or blah, blah, blah. Which, and it was the case. But they very much so failed to try to at least figure out why. Because, yes, I had a history of mental health issues, but not this. Like, it wasn't this. So I kept being adamant about, hey, I need to get my brain checked. Like, I just need a CT, I need a scan, something's just not right. Something is up with me. And so they did it, nothing was wrong, and then later on I'm sent home again. But then I keep trying to go back because something is wrong. I I I became silent. I became nothing. Like, my whole sense of being in general was kind of gone. And whenever I tried to be doing normal things, I just kept getting sick. Every single time I tried to do something, I just kept getting sick. So I would do something, get sick, then lay down, and then I would just it was just a perpetual cycle because all I knew was to do things as well on top of that. So after all that, they finally took me to the hospital because I was having another, like, legitimate flare up because of my constant get up and go attitude. And they didn't want to keep me no more. They didn't want to keep me because I was medically sound, and they were just like, nah, you gotta go to, maybe you just need help, like you maybe you just need to rest. Keep in mind, I feel like, on top of the fact that they had given me that type of medication, keeping me up every single hour was not a good idea. If you've ever been to a hospital, they check on you every single hour, whether you're asleep or not. So, in my case, I'm a light sleeper. So, when they checked every single hour, I was up every single hour. On top of the fact that I was already going through something, I was basically going through sleep deprivation on top of that. So when they told me, oh, you can just go to the mental institution and it will be like a break, I felt relieved because at the end of the day, I feel like in that moment, that was the best choice for me. I truly believe that. But another good choice would have been to take me off of prednisone. But that did not happen. And that didn't happen for a very long while because I kept going to mental institutions. I kept going back and forth. I just kept falling further and further and further into insanity. I was gaining weight like crazy. My whole face and body changed. And if you want an example of that, I am going to edit it right in here. That my body, my face, and everything changed within the span of me going through this. So I was stuck in and out of different mental hospitals for about a year. I even spent my birthday in the mental hospital. And there was almost no end in sight. And when I was trying to get off of prednisone as well, or like not even try, I was in the mental health hospital for a lot of times, and sometimes they wouldn't have my medicine. And with how long they allowed me to be on that medicine, I was so dependent on it that I was in excruciating amounts of pain when I didn't have it. It was absolutely horrible. It was like the worst pain even to date. I might be lying because I truly feel like that my pain became more and more of an issue, but at the time of feeling the pain, it was the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. Ever. Like honestly gives me sympathy for people that go through certain withdrawals with certain medicines because I know for a fact that's probably how they feel as well. But yeah, it was leaving me in tremors, sweating. I couldn't walk like that because my legs were in excruciating pain. And so yeah, I was in and out for about a year, still taking prednisone. And by the time I was done and was able to mentally be sane, because it literally took everything. Like it made me insane, and I had to basically re-find myself within that experience. And honestly, thankfully so, because I'm more well-rounded in that sense mentally. But when I got out, I knew for a fact that that was the reason why everything kind of happened, mainly because one time in one mental hospital, I I expressed exactly how I felt. I told the person. I said, "Hey, I don't know if this is going to sound crazy, but I think that my medicine's making me go crazy. I've never felt this way ever in my life before, and it feels like every single time I take that medicine, I'm going more insane. I've never had hallucinations. I've never heard voices. I've never had any of this happen to me until I started taking that medicine. And then after I said that, they reassured me that I didn't sound crazy because they experienced something similar, not to themselves, but to somebody else. They had literally seen something of similar nature happen to somebody else. And they're like, yeah, prednisone sometimes be making people go crazy. And so I sat there and I just thought, why? Why would you give a child something that has a possibility of something without telling them the possibility of that thing? Truly, in my own opinion, if I knew I would have the possibility of going insane, losing losing my ability to lose weight on top of that, physically change my body forever, and develop avascular necrosis on a possibility I probably would not have allowed them to like, give me that. I don't think I would have allowed that to happen in general. But to say the least, it happened. And when I got out and I talked to my doctors, they were like, yeah, we can get you weaned off. We're gonna lower your dose and you come back in 3 months. 3 months? That was something I wasn't gonna take. You're telling me it's gonna take me 3 months to lower a dose, and then gradually 3 more months, and then lower it more, and then 3 more months, and then lower it more. I'm not doing that. Not after I spent an entire year in the mental hospital because of this medicine. I am not going to take 3 months, and then 3 more months, and then 3 more months, and then 3 more months. So I did what any irresponsible person would do, and I weaned off in a week or 2 weeks, something like that. I weaned off, let's just say a month, because that would be more realistic. I weaned off pretty damn quick because I was not going to allow myself to get any deeper into the insanity that I already had just pulled myself out of. Because why? Why would I, allow Big Pharma to just mess me up more, So after all of that, I weaned off the medicine, and guess what? Almost every single thing that had happened to me ceased. I became enlightened, basically, because I basically took myself from insanity to base level, and then after that, I took the insanity out, so I'm just like, I feel like I was straight. I was basically hunky-dory, and I was doing mentally pretty well, because, I finally got the insanity out. And from then on, it just kind of went uphill, and then more recently downhill when we'll get to that. But after I had stopped the prednisone, my weight dropped dramatically. I went from almost 200 pounds to my fault. I went from almost 200 pounds to one, I'll say 170, 70-ish, and then I kind of went all the way down to like my base weight. When I was in Kroger, I probably was at my lowest. I finally was able to get all that weight off, and um, I had hit my lowest at 145 pounds, which is I'm so grateful for in that sense, because it really messed up my body to a degree that I will get to in a second. But my body shape has changed forever. If you have ever looked this up, there's this thing called Cushing syndrome, and it sounds weird because it is a weird name for what it is, but it's basically where your body restructures where fat goes, and I'm assuming that's what it is, but for the most part, it is literally like what your body turns into as a result of something, and it is almost 1-to-1 to how my body ended up looking. And I know there's a lot of people that talk about how moonface goes away. And yes, moonface specifically goes away. But there's another element to the possibilities of things happening to you on prednisone, and Cushing syndrome was one of them. And my body seems like it's never going to be the same. It's not like it's not gonna look great at some point. I'm going to work towards it looking okay, but for the most part, I literally have a archetype, a body type from a condition now. So, um, I mean, that's the least of my worries, honestly, because at the end of the day, I can always try to work it out and get lean enough so that the structure of which my body had developed in can look different. So, I mean, at the end of the day, that is something that is somewhat fixable. But what isn't fixable that I did develop from prednisone is avascular necrosis. I am now disabled because of a decision my doctors made when I was 16. I now have trouble walking, I have trouble doing things with my hands, and I have trouble sleeping because of the sheer pain of both of these things combined. I now have to go through every day kind of hoping that I can have a good day because of a decision a doctor made when I was 16. And I couldn't choose. Yeah, moonface is something serious, man. And it's more serious than you think. I didn't think much of it mainly because I thought it was just the Cushing syndrome. That was the only thing that I thought was wrong with me because of that, but it's caused so much more. It has caused so much more BS that I just couldn't even fathom. Like, I have dead bones now in my joints, in almost every joint, because of a decision a doctor made when I was 16. That's the reality. That's the reality of this. The reality is that a medicine that could help so much can do so much damage. And they don't tell you. They really don't tell you. And I'm so sorry for all the people that are like me and have gone through this and had to deal with the consequences of someone else's actions. Truly. Because it's not your fault that you didn't know that this would happen to you. And I have to say that to myself all the time too. Because at the end of the day, I was 16. Even if I did have the information, I don't even know if I knew the extent. I don't even think I would know the extent of how bad it could be. Mainly because I will be blinded by the easy relief that it would give me in the time. Because lupus sucks. Like, lupus flare-ups suck. Like I said, I could barely even stand. It was so bad. It sucks. So even if I had the information, I probably might have made the decision to still take it. But the fact that prolonged use is a such a dangerous thing, and they still allowed me to ingest this drug for that long is crazy to me. And it's like, it sucks to know that one decision could have changed my life for the better. But I can't go back. And I can't talk to the doctors again, and I can't talk to my mom again, and I can't talk to my anybody again to fix it. Because I was 16 and they made the decision for me. But yeah, if you want to know the real about Moonface, this is the realest you're gonna get. Because when you see it on TikTok, you're like, oh, it's just your face. Oh, it's just a little weight gain. But it was way more. It's way more for some people that experience it. It's so much more. Because not only did I experience weight gain, but now I am permanently going to be disabled for the rest of my life because of a decision a doctor made when I was 16. All of it. Forever. Because if you don't know, avascular necrosis is chronic, which means it will never go away. If I never started, I would have never had it. But now, I live with it. I'm going to have to live with it for the rest of my life. And no amount of surgery and amount of treatment is going to stop it from continuing. Because a doctor made a decision for me when I was 16. Adios.